But why? It's growing like a weed, participatory plant breeding, local innovation, participatory approaches, whatever you want to call. Because the people are discovering every day, in the way that you facilitate action to people, they start to discover something new every day. So it's an engagement, continuous engagement. And why? Because the people start to be recognized as like a scientist. So, I came from Cuba. And the people here asked me several times two main questions. The first question is, what happened when Fidel Castro died? This is the first question. But the second question is it possible to apply the model that you explained, young scientists? Is possible to apply in England? So I can tell you that I came from Cuba, that we replicated your model of agriculture model. We replicated several years ago. And we collapsed first. And we collapsed a little bit later. Because you and me separate the word agri with culture. When it's very important to merge in one word, agri and culture, to say proudly agriculture. Culture is very important. It's not only techniques, which mean love. Finally, I was telling you, well, some friend that just carried me to this place, that I realized that I was writing down a lot of paper from national and international scientists as well. At the end of 10 years writing papers, writing books, I realized that nobody was reading my books, nobody was reading my papers. I think the top reading that I reached sometime was 100 persons all over the world reading my paper. I spent a lot of time on that, a lot of requirement to make a very, very scientific paper. We spent a lot of energy for paper producing, all the printing process, you know. The policymaker never read my books. So we decided to change the way of communication. Because if we are working for poor people, if we are working for equity, if we are working for people that have been marginalized from the conventional scientific way to make agriculture, we need to change our communication way to people. So I thought this was my last book that I wrote in relation to participatory plant readings. I launched my book for the first time in my life in a community in the east part of Cuba. Wow, it was amazing. Yeah, plenty of people. There was a very fluent communication. When I did the same activity with the intellectual circle, it was boring, really boring. So, this is my boy. He's 18. And this is the other one. Both are musicians, and this is a friend of mine, who were playing with me during the very difficult times. But still we are playing, because we decided to play together to communicate all this experience through music. So that is why I made my CD, which contains some documentaries inside, in English. And so I realized that in that way it was more easier to communicate with all farmers and policymakers, because finally They are human beings. They want the culture, and they want to be happy. So, in that way, it was quite successful to communicate all my experience working with farmers and making real science with normal people. And, well, you know, it's great. So everybody come to share food and to talk about the seeds, about the culture. The ladies just, you know, wearing very elegant dresses. It was really a very interesting cultural way to make science. And the local artists played with me, and we feel very well. It was really a lovely day. So for that is why I want to communicate you some of my experience, but knowing that in PowerPoint presentation by singing. So, what do you think?
Yes.
I can start?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.